"I'm sorry, Ms. Reyes," the loan officer said, turning her monitor toward me. "We can't pre-approve you for a mortgage." On her screen were 3 credit cards, opened in my name, each stamped with the same word that didn't belong in my life: default. One was already in collections. I stared at the balances like they were written in a foreign language, waiting for my brain to translate them into something less terrifying. "That's not mine," I whispered. "I don't even have credit cards." She slid a printed sheet across the desk. Steps to dispute, numbers to call, a checklist that looked too calm for how loud my heart was beating. It wasn't just a denial. It was a door slamming on the future I'd been building in silence. Every skipped trip, every packed lunch, every "not right now" I told myself so I could say yes to a home. I walked out of that office in a daze, the Florida sun too bright, the parking lot too normal for what had just happened to me, and 15 minutes later, sitting in my car with my credit report pulled up on my phone, I found the detail that made my hands go cold, because it proved this wasn't a random scam. The thief wasn't a stranger. If you want to know what I saw in that report, the one line that turned confusion into betrayal, stay with me. And if you're into real family stories where the truth finally bites back, you can subscribe. No pressure. I just don't want you missing the moment everything turns. My name is Sofia Reyes. I'm 29 and I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. I work as a scheduling coordinator at a small private clinic. I'm the reliable one, the woman who color codes her budget, pays her bills early, and checks her credit just in case, because I grew up watching money problems swallow whole families. For 2 years, I lived like I was already practicing for homeownership. No vacations, no new car, no cute little splurges. I picked up extra shifts, learned how to stretch groceries, and stacked my savings one careful deposit at a time. I wasn't chasing a mansion. I wanted something modest. Porch light, deadbolt, a patch of space that was finally mine. That's why it felt so unfair. I did everything right. And someone still used my name. At first, I told myself there had to be an explanation. A mistake. A mix-up. Some weird glitch I could fix with a few phone calls. But that night, at my kitchen table, paperwork spread out like evidence, I realized the truth was simpler than any excuse I wanted to believe. This wasn't an accident. It was a choice. And by the time the sun came up, I knew I was going to have to make one too. I tried to handle it like an adult, like a rational, composed woman who didn't spiral in a bank parking lot. I drove home, made myself a cup of coffee I didn't drink, and opened my laptop at the kitchen table like I was clocking into a second job. Fix My Life, Inc. I told myself it would be annoying but manageable. Dispute, verify, clear it up, move on. The first calls felt almost normal. Hold music, polite voices. "Ma'am, can you confirm your address?" I answered everything like I was taking a quiz I'd studied for. I typed down reference numbers. I followed the script. I even convinced myself this might be one of those stories where the system works, slowly, but eventually. Then the first rep said it, casual as a weather report. Unfortunately, these accounts have been verified. Verified. The word lodged in my chest like a splinter. Verified by who? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. By the creditor, ma'am. My hands tightened around the pen. So the lie has paperwork. The lie has signatures. The lie has a heartbeat. I hung up and stared at the wall for a long time, like if I stayed still enough, the panic wouldn't see me. My apartment felt smaller than it had that morning. The ceiling fan clicked in its lazy rhythm. Outside, someone's dog barked like the world was normal. I pulled my credit report up again and zoomed in until the letters blurred. That's when I saw it. Clear as daylight. A phone number listed under primary contact. I knew those last 4 digits the way you know your own mother's laugh. My dad's. At first, I tried to talk myself out of it. Could be outdated. Could be a coincidence. Could be anything but that. But my stomach already knew the truth before my brain agreed to it. Still, I didn't call him right away. I called my mom. She didn't even let me finish. When I said 3 credit cards, her breath hitched like she'd been punched. "Oh, Sofia," she whispered. And the way she said my name, soft, careful, guilty, told me this wasn't new information. It was just new to me. When I asked if she thought Dad could have done it, she didn't defend him. She didn't laugh. She didn't say, "No, of course not." She said, "He did it to me." The room went quiet in that sharp, cinematic way, like someone lowered the volume right before the jump scare. My fingers went numb against the edge of the table. She told me about their divorce, about mystery cards she'd never opened, about tens of thousands in debt she didn't recognize until it was already swallowing her, about the way he'd acted confused, offended, like she was accusing him. I sat there, listening, and it felt like my childhood rearranged itself. All those times he told me he had it under control. All those times my mom looked tired in a way I couldn't name. All those times money was tight, but he still somehow had what he wanted. I hung up with her and stared at my phone. My thumb hovered over his contact like it was a detonator. When I finally called, he answered on the second ring, cheerful, breezy, like this was just Sunday small talk. "Hey, kiddo." And I realized with a sick clarity that I wasn't about to have a conversation. I was about to start a war inside my own family. I didn't come at him like a prosecutor. I came at him like a daughter who still wanted an exit ramp. Like maybe if I said it gently enough, he'd tell the truth gently back and we'd both walk away bruised but intact. "Dad," I said, keeping my voice flat, "I got denied for a mortgage today." He made a sympathetic sound, one of those practiced parental noises that's supposed to mean I'm listening. "Oh yeah? That's tough, Sof. The market's brutal." "It wasn't the market," I said. "It was my credit. There are 3 cards in my name, all defaulted, one's in collections." A pause, not shock, not confusion, just a pause, like he was deciding which mask to wear. "Huh," he said finally. "Well, those things happen." The way he said it, casual, almost bored, lit something hot behind my ribs. "Those things don't just happen, Dad. Someone opened them. In my name." He sighed, a long, heavy sigh that made it sound like I was the inconvenience. "You need to be more careful with your social security number," he said. My grip tightened on the phone. I stared at the kitchen window, watching the afternoon sun smear across the glass. "I have been careful," I said, slower now. "I don't give it out. I don't leave it lying around. I don't—" Okay, he cut in. "I'm just saying, people are shady. You can't trust anyone." The irony hit me so hard I almost laughed. I didn't accuse him, not yet. I swallowed the anger because I could feel how fragile this was, how one wrong sentence could turn into something we couldn't undo. So I tried another approach. "The lender told me I can't get approved anywhere until it's resolved," I said. "They gave me paperwork. I have to file disputes, maybe a fraud report, possibly a police report." That got his attention. I heard it in the shift of his breathing. "A police report?" he repeated. "Sofia, you probably shouldn't do that." My skin prickled. "Why not?" "Because it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things," he said, like he was talking about a dented bumper. "How much is it anyway?" I looked at the numbers written on my notepad, ink pressed so hard it nearly tore the paper. 115,000, I said. He let out a low whistle. Then, unbelievably, he laughed under his breath. "See?" he said. That's not that much." I sat there with my mouth slightly open, staring at nothing, because my brain couldn't process the fact that my father was measuring my ruined future like it was a bar tab. "Dad," I said, "it's keeping me from buying a house." "You can just wait," he replied, quick and confident, like he'd rehearsed it. "It'll fall off your report eventually." My heart started pounding. "Wait how long?" 4.5 years, he said. "It's not the end of the world." 4.5 years. Like my life was a parking ticket. like the dream I'd been building for years was something I could just put on a shelf until it expired. I felt the anger rise, slow at first, then rushing, filling every inch of my chest. "I can't wait 4.5 years," I said. "I'm 30. I've been saving. I did everything right." He exhaled again, the same annoyed sigh, the same tone he used when I was a teenager, and he wanted the conversation to end. "Sofia, listen," he said. "Don't make a big mistake that ruins someone's life." The words landed wrong. The way he said someone's life, not mine, not his daughter's, someone else's. That's when the betrayal finally showed its face, clear and ugly. "Whose life?" I asked quietly. Silence. Long enough that I could hear the hum of my refrigerator and the distant sound of a car passing outside. Long enough for my body to understand before my mind was ready. Then he said it, like he was confessing to borrowing a tool he forgot to return. "I opened them," he admitted. "I had to." The room spun. I stood up without realizing it, my chair scraping the floor like a warning. "You... what?" My voice cracked. "My work slowed down," he said quickly, words tumbling now. "Just a little. I needed money for living expenses. It was temporary. I was going to handle it." "By putting it on my credit?" My hands were shaking so badly I had to brace myself on the counter. "I was going to pay it," he insisted. "I'll do what I can. I'll help you. We can figure it out." We. Like we were partners in his crime. I swallowed hard, bile rising in my throat. "You told me to be more careful," I said, my voice low. "You told me people are shady." He didn't respond. "Because what do you say when the person you're warning your child about is you?" Then his voice changed. The warmth drained out. The fatherly tone disappeared. What replaced it was fear, raw and selfish. "If you report this," he said, "it could ruin my life." I almost dropped the phone. "Dad, you ruined mine." "No," he snapped, suddenly sharp. "Don't do that. Don't be dramatic. I'm your father." There it was, the entitlement. The built-in immunity he thought he had because he shared my last name. "You're my father," I repeated, stunned. "And you stole my identity." He started talking faster, bargaining like a man at the edge of a cliff. "I'll pay it down, I'll call the companies, I'll make payments, just don't go to the police. Please, Sofia." I stared at the wall, eyes burning. And the strangest thing happened. I didn't feel like a little girl anymore. I didn't feel like someone begging for approval. I felt clear. Because in that moment I understood something brutal. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He was asking for protection. He wanted me to carry the consequences so he wouldn't have to. And something inside me, the part that had been taught to keep the peace, to be the good daughter, to swallow discomfort for the sake of family, finally snapped. I looked down at the paperwork on my table. The fraud affidavit, the dispute forms, the list of steps that required one thing above all else, a police report number. My future was sitting right there in black and white, and my father was on the other end of the line, begging me to give it up. "Dad," I said, voice steady now, almost calm. "I'm not covering for you." His breathing hitched. "Sofia, I'm not waiting 4.5 years," I continued. "I'm not paying a dime for something you did, and I'm not letting you do this to me and walk away like it's normal." The silence that followed felt like standing in the eye of a storm. And then he said, low and furious, "You'd really send your own father to jail?" I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of it, the shame he was trying to hand me like a bag of bricks. Then I opened them, stared at the forms, and let the truth come out like a blade. "You should have thought about that before you stole from your daughter." The next morning, I woke up with that hollow, vibrating kind of adrenaline, like my body had been running all night while my mind pretended to sleep. For a few seconds, I almost forgot. Then I saw the stack of papers on my kitchen table, and it all came rushing back. The lender's screen, the word fraud, my dad's voice telling me to just wait, like my life was something that could sit in a drawer. I showered, got dressed, and moved through my apartment like a ghost with a mission. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. I didn't check the notifications. I couldn't afford distraction, not today. At the police station, the air smelled like old coffee and disinfectant. The fluorescent lights made everyone look tired. A front desk clerk asked me to take a seat, and I did, hands folded in my lap like a kid called to the principal's office. My leg bounced without permission. When the officer came out, he wasn't dramatic. He wasn't harsh. He was just professional. He led me into a small room, sat across from me, and asked me to explain what happened. And that's when my voice almost failed, because saying it out loud made it real in a way I hadn't fully accepted yet. My identity was used to open 3 credit cards. I began, sliding the papers toward him. They're in default. 1 is in collections. I found out when I applied for a mortgage. He nodded, making copies, asking clear questions, dates, amounts, addresses, the kind of questions that turn betrayal into a timeline. When he asked if I suspected who did it, my mouth went dry. I stared at the table, at the scratches in the wood, at anything except the truth. Then I said it anyway. My father. The officer didn't flinch. He just wrote it down like it was another fact. Like family didn't change the crime. After about 15 minutes, he handed me a pamphlet about contacting the credit bureaus and wrote a number on the top, my report number. This will help you dispute the accounts again, he said. Now you have documentation. My hands shook as I took it, not from fear of the system, but from the strange, painful relief of finally being believed. I asked what would happen to my dad, and the officer leaned back slightly, choosing his words like he'd said them 100 times. It looks pretty clear-cut, he admitted, but charging decisions come from the state attorney's office. If they pursue it, there could be a warrant. If it's a first felony, he may qualify for diversion or probation. Jail isn't always the outcome, but he might spend some time detained if he's picked up. I swallowed hard. My throat burned. On the walk back to my car, the sun felt different, sharper, like it was lighting up everything I'd been avoiding. Because this wasn't just about credit anymore. This was the moment I stopped being my father's daughter in the way he wanted, quiet, forgiving, convenient, and became his daughter in the way he never expected, a woman who would choose her own future over his comfort. In my car, I sat with both hands on the steering wheel and stared straight ahead. My eyes stung, but no tears fell. Not yet. Instead, I felt something else settling in. Heavy, steady, undeniable. Resolve. He said reporting him would ruin his life. But as I started the engine, one thought kept repeating, calm as a heartbeat. He should have cared about mine first. For the first time in days, something actually moved in my favor. 2 mornings after I filed the report, I opened my credit monitoring app with the same dread I'd been waking up with, like I was bracing for another punch. My thumb hovered over the login screen. I almost didn't look. Then I did. One of the accounts, the smallest balance, was gone. Just gone. Like it had never existed. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding and pressed my palm to my forehead, laughing once, quietly, the way people laugh when they're half relieved and half furious that relief had to be earned through pain. It wasn't a victory yet, but it was proof the system could still recognize truth when it had a report number attached to it. That same afternoon, my phone rang with an unknown number. I answered on instinct, and a woman's voice introduced herself from the prosecutor's office. Professional, neutral, the kind of tone that doesn't care who your father is. She asked a few questions, dates, amounts, whether I'd given permission, whether I'd ever benefited from the accounts. My stomach tightened on every no, because every no was another nail in a coffin I didn't build but would still have to carry. Then she said, "If charges are filed, would you be willing to testify?" There was a split second where my old self tried to rise up. Keep the peace. Don't make it worse. Think about the family. I could practically hear my dad's voice. Don't ruin my life. But I heard my own voice louder. Yes, I said. My hands were shaking, but my answer wasn't. Yes, I will. She told me they'd make a decision before the end of the month. When I hung up, the apartment felt too quiet, like the walls were listening. That night, my dad didn't call. Instead, he texted, one line, cold and sharp. I can't believe you did this. No apology, no accountability, just blame. And then my brother called, not to ask if I was okay, not to ask what happened, to scold me. You really went to the cops on Dad? He snapped. Do you know what you're doing to this family? I stared at the dark window, my reflection staring back like a stranger. Do you know what Dad did to me? I said, voice steady. He took my future and put it on a payment plan. He hung up on me. For a full week, my phone stayed quiet in the way that hurts more than screaming. The silence wasn't peace, it was punishment, like they expected guilt to drag me back into line. But something had changed in me. I still loved them. That was the cruelest part. Love doesn't shut off just because someone proves they don't deserve it. But I wasn't going to bleed for their comfort anymore. I checked my credit again before bed. Still not fixed, still messy, still a fight. And yet, for the first time since that lender turned her screen toward me, I felt the smallest spark of control, not over my father, over myself. By the time the prosecutor's office called back, I'd stopped jumping every time my phone buzzed. Not because the fear was gone, but because I'd finally named it. I wasn't afraid of the credit cards anymore. I was afraid of what it meant to admit the truth out loud, that the person who was supposed to protect me had been quietly sabotaging me and counting on my love to keep him safe. Some nights I still sit at my kitchen table and stare at the folder labeled fraud like it belongs to someone else. But then I remember the moment I walked into that police station and didn't shrink. I didn't apologize for existing. I didn't negotiate my future like it was optional. I chose myself, fully, finally. And that's the part I'll carry for the rest of my life. Because the lesson isn't just check your credit. The lesson is harsher and oddly freeing. Family isn't the people who share your last name. Family is the people who refuse to profit from your pain. Love should never require you to be the collateral. I won't pretend this didn't leave bruises. It did. There are conversations that will never sound the same again. There are holidays that might feel quieter. But there's also something I didn't have before. This steady, unshakable clarity. He told me reporting him would ruin his life. But here's the truth that finally set me free. The moment someone asks you to bury their crime to keep the peace, they've already chosen themselves over you. If you're watching this and you're carrying a secret that's crushing you, please hear me. You're not dramatic. You're not selfish. Wanting your life back is not betrayal, it's survival. And if this story hit you in the chest the way it hit me to live it, I'd love to know you're here. Leave a comment, just a word, or where you're watching from, so I can read it and remember I'm not alone in this. Thank you for staying with me through the hard parts. Truly. If you want more stories like this, stories where the truth finally gets spoken and the underdog finally stands up, tap like and subscribe. It helps more than you think, and it tells YouTube to share these stories with the people who might need them most. The next video is waiting for you.